Hey guys, what's going on? Kevin Cage back with another daily cryptocurrency video. Welcome to the channel. Like and subscribe if you like what you see, and let's get right into the information today. And again, I apologize if you hear the thunder in the background. There's a pretty intense thunderstorm going on right now. So right here, XRP, you amaze me. Sharing a tweet by Temenos, and as we know, Temenos is the world-leading banking software solutions company. They have connections with plenty of groups, even right here, of course, a quote, "We have over 3,000 financial institutions in over 150 countries." Just let that sink in. And again, this is by Ian Northing, and we did cover this as well. Whether they're API gateways, it's basically a way to instantaneously interconnect with a lot of these huge groups, just like TAS or Task Group is, kind of a networking connector, just like Colt into, eSmig, all these huge groups. I know there's plenty of groups to keep track of, different applications, different interfaces, gateways, and it can be a giant mess. I think we should definitely make a giant chart. One person in particular that makes great threads covering all of the connections with Ripple, the private company, is Legion. And again, regarding India, we know that Ripple recently, like literally a month or two ago, has actually confirmed that it is actively working on integrating its instant cross-border payment solution X-Current with all major banks in India. And even last year in 2018, they said about 50% of the Indian banks are in the pipeline. And then recently we even heard like over 80%. So the figure is growing. Basically, we can assume that all the major banks of India are connected. And then we know, what was the gentleman's name? He was basically... Was he head of one of the banks of India, or like the Federal Bank of India? You guys will know, but he will be speaking at Swell as well. I was just reading an article on that. And Swell is Ripple's event that's coming up in Singapore in November. Just think of it kind of like the Sibos event, which is for Swift annually, right now taking place in London. So exciting times. So right here, of course, soon to be India, of course, is a growing country. It has a bunch of unbanked groups similar to Africa, Southeast Asia, a lot of places to improve infrastructure. All right. And soon to be the most populous country in the world. And you can kind of think of Japan with their Money Tap application. I think phone applications, just like this lady speaking right here is addressing, will be huge. All right. Power back to the people. And then, of course, if I haven't said it already, massive connections here, 3,000 FIs in more than 150 countries. I did see the Working Money channel did a great video on this article, The Ripple Mafia, similar to the original PayPal Mafia with Elon Musk and a lot of the creators that went on to create LinkedIn, YouTube, way beyond PayPal, things of that nature, eBay. I believe eBay was connected in the original PayPal Mafia, and it's funny to see the similarities here. All right, this is actually some good news. This is by Kubli Khan, so KUBLI_Khan, KAN. Now, new Wise Crypto Ratings, or I believe, Wise Crypto Ratings, put XRP at the top with a huge difference from the rest. Wow, some actual positive news for XRP and true acknowledgement actually going by the fundamentals and facts. So let's look at the criteria here. As we can see here, so there's a bunch of ratings, and XRP, Ripple's project, or at least, kind of the distributors of XRP originally, was 92.5%, beating out even VET, ADA, IOTA, EOS, Ethereum. We can see, Stellar, Chainlink. Again, when these projects really kick off, I think that they can totally go up in value. So if you hold these altcoins, I'm not dissing them by any means. I think, diversification can be a smart move. It really just depends. It's to each their own. As we can see, though, Bitcoin SV, I don't like any forks of Bitcoin, personal preference. Privacy coins, they're pretty scary right now. Due to a lot of regulations currently, a lot of these public exchanges are delisting privacy coins just for, their own protection. So we'll see. Again, there's going to be less liquidity and on-ramps for these assets. I think they'll still be used in the near future because there is an application to them. But if there's not as much liquidity, there might not be as much of demand. And again, I'm here to make money, like I imagine many of you are. Sure, there's people here to, embrace the technology. Don't get me wrong. I think it's completely revolutionary. Digital asset technology, or digital asset, that's what I'm used to saying for XRP. But distributed ledger technology, DLT, all the, digitization, tokenized assets, it's the future. It's what we're seeing with asset fractionalization day by day. But let's kind of just take a look at the criteria on why XRP was voted the highest out of these projects. So right here, there's a technology scoring 0 to 300. So it's based on speed, cost, scalability. Keep in mind, we're faster than almost every project, and speed's not the only thing that matters. We also need to build on-ramps and have liquidity, lower the barrier to entry as well. The cost, of course, one of the cheapest, 1,000 times cheaper than Bitcoin, and 1,000 times more scalable than Bitcoin. Reliable? Absolutely. We've closed over 50 million ledgers successfully. There's never been double spending issues. Ever. Just like, with Bitcoin, there's even potential rollbacks, which is actually in the original code. Stephen Thomas, formerly CTO of Ripple, went on to work on Coil. He said that he actually recreated the Bitcoin code. He said it was so hard. He remembers the code perfectly. And he, obviously, when they were with XRP has no ability to do that. There's no manipulation in that regard. All right, so of course it's reliable. There's never been an error or mistake in XRP transaction history, unless it's user error by not putting in maybe a destination tag, which is a whole nother thing, because the human element will always exist, and that's pretty much the entire risk when it comes to cybersecurity as well. Environmental impact, don't even get me started on proof of work cryptocurrencies, due to the terawatt hours of usage that even Bitcoin is doing to the environment. If you care whatsoever about planet Earth, or electricity usage, you should, take a second look at everything. Decentralization. People will say that XRP is centralized. It is a crap coin. That is a complete joke. If you look at the actual fundamentals and facts, you will see the majority of Bitcoin is highly, highly centralized due to the mining pools. All right. Originally, yes, it was decentralized. But what happens is people start getting together, even successful miners, and they create, they kind of collude and create these groups. And eventually, just like Jungle Inc. made a great point on a video recently, like check his channel out if you haven't already. I'm sure you have. But he made a great point about Bitcoin miners. They're taking mining, they're getting the profit, and they're dumping that Bitcoin, the profits, back onto the market. And then people are upset that Ripple, the company, might be over-the-counter selling XRP or donating hundreds of millions of dollars to create different initiatives, and they're reinvesting in the beginning to create that foundation. And I say this time and time again, create a strong foundation. If you're building a skyscraper, you need to lay the foundation. You need to make sure it is sturdy and will last for years. XRP, if you don't want to say decentralized, which could be like on the far left side of the spectrum, and then centralized would be like on the far right for the example, this is far more closer to being decentralized than Bitcoin, period. I consider it distributed, because that's just how really the XRP ledger with all the validators is today. And it's becoming more and more distributed today, which is what the XRP ecosystem actually needs to function properly. Security, we already know. Reorg, 51% attacks. Even, DDoS attacks, brute force attacks, distributed denial of service. The way everything is handled, it's far superior. Proof of consensus is so superior in my opinion. Potential for being banned. Not at all. XRP, as we know, Ripple works with the regulators. They're the only ones that don't have really an anarchist-like approach to everything. Network vulnerabilities, not even close. And David Schwartz goes over this time and time again. Use case and products. Let's see, main use case, of course, it originally was there for cross-border payments, to remove the friction. But now they're expanding that into different industries, like the Spring Initiative. It's spelled X-Spring or Xpring. You can even talk about Coil. You can talk about Cinnamon, rewarding content creators, you name it. Additional use cases, even Omni. I could just name probably 10 right off the bat. Even Kava Labs with, possibly doing more collateralized loan types of things. Additional working products. Even with XRPL Labs creating different incentives in mobile applications. Even MoneyTap of Japan working with that. Time and time again, guys. And XRP is not a security. You'll hear it from me. This is not financial advice, but I will bet my entire XRP stash. XRP will not be classified as a security. It is going to either have a completely new type of classification, or they're going to go off the existing frameworks that other countries have even said, whether it's Thailand and Southeast Asian countries or even the UK, classifying XRP as a utility or exchange token. It has value. Core team and developers, yes. Partnerships, oh yes. And actual clients of Ripple. All right, so due to these large numbers, come on, guys. XRP has at least been going, Ripple's been going since 2012. Should be no question. You shouldn't be surprised why this is happening. It's funny because 92% 5. I would say my entire portfolio in cryptocurrency or digital assets is 90% XRP. Not financial advice. To each their own. Right here, Stuart underscore XRP. This is cool. I just wanted to go over this again. So with ILP adoption, Interledger protocol, one example is the Hyperledger Quilt. So read above the thread to learn what Quilt does. Remember, Everest, NTT Data, which is the 5th largest IT firm in the world, we already covered that, and Ripple are committing full-time engineering resources to ensure the success of this project with their adoption strategy. Sorry about the thunder in the background. So as we can take a look here, Hyperledger Quilt offers interoperability between ledger systems by implementing ILP in Java. ILP is a simple, open source protocol that establishes a global namespace for accounts to help make transactions across ledgers. Just think ledgers as, just typical transactions. We have assets and liabilities, 2 columns. We have, credits and debits, period. If you've ever taken even like a basic accounting class, you get the gist. Everything has a ledger in the background, but we often don't think of it like that. All right, more about ILP. ILP is based on concepts dating back to the 70s. With ILP, money and other forms of value can be packetized, routed, and delivered over payment networks and ledgers. And I've even been seeing Stephen Thomas talk about how ILP can almost route like the most efficient path as well. Just like if anyone's familiar with SD-WAN software to find wide area network or wide area networking, however you want to say it, they kind of find the most efficient way to route the packets. ILP is going to function the same way and actually does today, which is really cool. Again, designed to transfer value across both distributed and non-distributed ledgers. So whether it is public or actually permissioned and private, you can utilize ILP to bridge and create interoperability. The idea is that Quilt will become a ledger interoperability solution for Hyperledger products. By implementing ILP, Quilt provides a set of rules for enabling ledger interoperability with basic escrow semantics, a standard for ledger independent address format, so just more standards and messaging standards, so it's all across, just like how ISO 20022 wants to create the similar payment messaging standard. By 2025, it's interoperability. We're going to see more and more of these protocols come to pass because there's no interoperability. There's tons of friction in the existing system. Things are growing very, very fast. And when we actually create interoperability, things will be able to flow seamlessly, and we'll get into this age of automation more so. Okay, Hyperledger Quilt. We already get it. Blockchain tool hosted by the Linux Foundation. And by implementing the Interledger protocol, of course, ILP, just to show you a little facts. You guys can look into Hyperledger, talk about Quilt or even Fabric as well. And then again, Interledger implementations was initially contributed by NTT Data and Ripple. All right. As you can see, I was just reading and listening to some videos about it a little more. And then right here, this is the Hyperledger Fabric. So again, type it's DLT, it's a smart contract engine, and it is active, of course. So just to understand a little bit more about this, Fabric versus Quilt, it's an enterprise-grade permissioned distributed ledger framework for developing solutions and applications. Its modular and versatile design satisfies a broad range of industry use cases. It offers a unique approach to consensus that enables performance at scale while preserving privacy. And so again, permissioned. All right, we're going to see more and more of this. This is how you get adoption. And it's my belief that a lot of people have concerns with sending, utilizing some type of distributed network. But again, there's still going to be subnetworks and private networks that these enterprises are going to use for anonymity. That's a tongue twister. And there's other ways around it as well. I think that we'll see with ILP, you can send all kinds of micropayments, and you can almost send payments in batches to, is this a word? Anonymize? I don't know. Basically conceal, and almost similar to like IP masking, I guess, you can, break the payments down into different batches, so it's harder for someone to really track and get into the system. There's going to be ways around it. I'm curious what kind of effects quantum computing will have, because we're entering a whole nother era. This world is moving so fast, and it's so hard to keep up with all of the developments. But again, just sharing my belief. I think that Hyperledger, this entire project, will succeed, and it's my belief that ILP will largely succeed, and that is really the secret sauce with ILP plus XRP. Keep in mind, I'm extremely biased. I've just been looking into XRP for a long time. I look at other projects, but in my opinion, since XRP is just miles ahead and actively working with the Bank of International Settlements, the International Monetary Fund, the top 40 and 50 central banks, arguably the top, 30 central, governments as well, it's just no question. It's just simply a matter of time. They're finding the actual use case. They're developing on-ramps each and every day. As an investor, I am seeing what I need to. Now, the only thing that's not following suit is price. And if that's frustrating to you, perhaps digital assets in, a new nascent market isn't for you. And that's completely fine. I find the people that are most angry are those that are either impatient or overinvested. Anybody that is invested, only what they can afford to lose and has control of their emotions, they're patient, they're mature. And, I'm learning a lot from you guys. I'm always doing research, and I'm never afraid to ask questions. You can ask me questions. If I really don't know the answer, I'm going to be completely honest and say, hey, I don't know, but I'm going to find out. Or I bet I know someone that can help me. So that's kind of my philosophy. Sorry if I sound arrogant sometimes, guys. I get a little excited, and I swear it feels like I know a lot. But again, we're all in this together, and I'm just getting started. So guys, let me know. Hit that like button. It does help the channel grow, and I will see you in the next video.